Hey there, I'm Rye Myers, your Broadway and Entertainment BFF, and you're watching another episode of my live digital talk show series, Live with Rye. Hey, listen, before we begin, I do have a huge favor to ask of you. If you're joining me on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll wait. I'm just kidding, but please hit that subscribe button, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Not only will you see every time I go live or post a new video, it also helps me grow exponentially and reach new people. So hit that subscribe button and I'll love you forever. And before we begin as well, I love being able to bring this show to you every Tuesday and talk with some of the best people in the entertainment, pop culture, and Broadway world. I also love doing my live in-person show every Thursday, live with Ryan Friends on Broadway, but I can't do it without your help. So if you are so inclined, love if you'd consider donating, helping to support the channel, scan that Venmo code, and leave a donation of whatever amount you're able to. You'll also see scrolling across the bottom of your screen my Venmo handle as well, Rye_Myers. So head on over there, leave me a little something, help support the platform. It means more than you know. And with that, help me welcome my very special guest, someone who doesn't need an introduction, someone who we all adore, I adore, and he's been a big inspiration to me, the one, the only, the fabulous Ben Cameron. Hey, Ben.
Hi, Rye. Oh, it's me. What a great introduction. I was like, who is this person you're talking about? They don't need an introduction? How fascinating.
It's you. It's all you.
How are you doing, buddy?
I am good. I'm hanging in there. How are you?
I'm great. I'm working a beige. You're in a theater, and I'm working a very beige two-tone backdrop.
You
So
are, and I love it. I love it. Well, I thought for you, I needed to be in a theater, so
absolutely.
I found a Broadway theater.
You and everybody else needs to be in a theater right now.
Exactly. I found a Broadway theater that hasn't opened, and I hopped right on stage and.
That's because you're a thinker, right? You're
exactly.
a thinker.
Exactly. So let's get right into it. How did you become known as your Broadway buddy and really get your hosting career started?
Well, I think with any of us who like to have these self-appointed titles, they are exactly that, self-appointed. So how I got to be your Broadway buddy is just really because I said so. And I think, that's good branding stuff. And it's exactly who I am. One of the things I like to say is I bring the Broadway community right to your door like a good neighbor bringing over brownies. Well, Broadway brownies, yum. It's interesting how I got into the hosting thing, and it's wild because for many years, Rye, when I kind of identified that this was something I would like to do and that I felt could be a long-term achievable goal for myself as a career, because not a lot of people do this, right? This is not something you see people aspiring to do, especially with my background in the theater. People are like, well, that's what you need to be doing. A lot of people didn't understand it or really support that. They kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And we always have that, well, you wait and see, Henry Higgins, just you wait. But as far as that goes, when I was in my third year of Wicked on Broadway, I decided to do my very first cabaret show. And I did a solo cabaret act that was an awful lot of fun and so crazy and fancy. Like my director was Shelley Williams. My musical director was Stephen Aremus. I had Adam Perry, Asmar Gebra McKell, Paige Turner, all these wild and wacky people who were my background singers and creative team, which maybe just speaks to my age. But it was doing that and sitting in front of an audience by myself with all of those wonderful people and finding that energy between myself and the audience and finding what just came out of my mouth organically and the responses it got became very addictive. I was like, oh, I remember the moment so specifically that I went off script and just started talking and got the greatest response of the show. So that kind of wet my whistle for being in front of an audience in an intimate setting or without the veil of costume context and Broadway show, right? So when I got off my last tour of Sweet Charity, after that was post Wicked, I was really creatively jazzed, but didn't really know what that meant for me. So I went to a local gay bar in my neighborhood and I said, hey, here's the deal. I like to hang out in bars and I have a lot of really fancy friends. So why don't we do a show here in your tiny gay bar up on 109th Street? And we did. And my first guest was Titus Burgess and Katie Thompson were my very first guests ever. And, it was just a silly gay bar show where I got to be myself and interact with people I loved, who I thought were crazy, who were insanely talented, and explore my friends. And the bar was really close by. So it kind of snowballed from there, and Broadway sessions ended up that was the beginning of Broadway sessions. Broadway sessions ended up at a bar called Therapy that has since closed during the pandemic, I believe. And then on to the Laurie Beachman Theater. And, I kind of doubled down maybe 7 or 8 years ago, where I said, all right, I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to train in this hosting thing. I'm going to get a professional reel. And I dove all in. And said, this is the product I want to sell, and this is my mission. So you become a Broadway buddy by knowing your mission, which my mission is to make people who love the thing that I love feel great about it.
I love that.
And, that snowballs from there. And then you get your Broadwaycon and your web series and your podcast and your a million other crazy things. Did that answer your question at all?
Yes, it did. It really, really did. You are so right about all of that, and
I hope so.
it's just snowballs from there. And I knew a lot of that from when we've chatted before, but I love hearing about it, and I love how you came about that. It's wonderful.
Thanks, man. It's I think it's really important for artists, especially now, and we've all had to learn this during the pandemic. It's really can be really profound for artists to explore what they have beyond showing up on the stage and standing on 8, singing this line and moving this finger to a whoopee spot where the gin is cold and the piano's hot.
Yeah.
And explore what else do you have to offer. And it's been really fun during the pandemic to watch people figure that out. I'm glad that I started to figure that out when I did, because, it would take a lot of work that I don't have inside of me to continue trying to sing and dance on Broadway at my age and current level of hip pain. So, I'm always impressed with people, and I think it's really important for people to dig deep and go, what else sparks joy? What other skill sets do I have that maybe I didn't know, that I can control as much as we can control anything?
That is so important, and especially joy in and of itself, bringing yourself joy as a person, whether you're a creative or a performer, that's important. So I agree.
Yeah, so, what's the point if it's not fun?
Exactly.
You know that with your brand, like there are inside the actor studio, there are your different niches of entertainment journalism or live hosting or whatever it is, and your voice is what's so important. And my voice is about joy and about fun and about inclusion. And as I think yours is. And I think that's what I have to offer and why it is so fun, because I don't take myself too seriously ever.
You don't, and you shouldn't. Nobody should. I mean, come on. This is like, we should never. We should all just enjoy and, be our best selves. There's no need to take ourselves so seriously,
Well, especially when we're dealing in theater, where we're putting on costumes, makeup, and singing songs and dancing dances while people are getting killed in Saigon. It's like, the whole thing is insane. It's my favorite art form in the world, but it's bonkers. So let's have fun with it.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I agree. The heat is definitely on in Saigon. That's for sure. Yeah, Bubbly. Hey, listen, I love the line Bubbly. So Bubbly, if you're watching, Ben Cameron and Rye Myers, we would love a sponsorship. Just saying.
We will talk about it in our cars. We'll bathe in the stuff. What do you want? We'll sing Michael Bublé songs.
The lime I will take with me to bed. I'll take with me in the car. What is it? With the Dr. Seuss, I'll eat it here or there. I'll eat it anywhere. I'll take it, I'll drink it anywhere.
Will you drink it with a fox? Will you drink it in a box?
I'll drink it with a fox, in a box, on a train, on my way to Spain. I'll drink it wherever. I love that stuff.
Well, please drink it on your way to Spain.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to.
I hear the rain there stays mainly on the plane.
Right. I
just be forewarned.
I was trying to rhyme. I was trying to rhyme on the spot.
You did a great job.
So you mentioned earlier about Wicked, and you've had so many original Broadway casts that you've been a part of, from Footloose, Aida. And as I said, a little known show that you mentioned, Wicked, that isn't really a big deal. I mean, it's a show that, it's small. No one really knows about it. So what was the experience like of being in the original Broadway cast of Wicked? And were you in it since the beginning and the workshops where Stephanie J. Block was a part of it? And what was that process like for you?
Yes, I was in it for the out of town production before it came to Broadway, but I did not do workshops before that. So to
Okay.
answer the Stephanie J. Block question, yes, Stephanie was in the out of town production before she took off to go play Liza Minnelli in The Boy from Oz, and then went on to be the glorious goddess that she is, Tony winning. So I came into it, and there have been workshops done, but I remember sitting down at our first table read, and I didn't, I'd read the book, which of course they're very different animals, the book, the Gregor Maguire book. And so all the fun spoilers that you get to be a part of when you're watching Wicked, and I'm not going to share them, but everybody knows what they are.
Right.
I remember just being blown away going through the table read and hearing Adina sing some of the songs, and Kristen, and how very lucky and amazing that I got to be a part of this thing, watch it become a worldwide phenomenon. And it was fun to be the cool kids on the block being in Wicked when you're in the hit show. I know that sounds crazy, but to watch it just snowball, once we're talking about snowballing a lot, to watch it grow to this huge behemoth all over the world, and it was thrilling to no end. And I got to check those boxes. I got to do the late night shows. I got to be on the Tony Awards. I got to I get to be in that chapter of history. All I ever wanted was to hear my own voice on an original Broadway cast album. Mm-hmm. And if my legacy has to be track 2 of your Wicked cast album, Glinda, is it true you're for her friend? Let it be that. I'm good with it. And what's really wonderful about Wicked is it's had such impact on people's lives because of the wonderful message.
Yeah.
It's still a part of my life today. I kind of reconnected with Wicked in the last few years. I was the live audience host for the 15th anniversary television special.
Yes.
So it was just me and Ariana Grande backstage while she bitched to me about breaking up with Pete. What's his name? Well, then you get out there and sing The Wizard and I, girl. And they call me in for events that they're doing and have me host them. So I'm still kind of in the family, which is remarkable. And I'm just going to exploit it for the rest of my life. And I think
good.
As I absolutely should. So one of the great, great joys and blessings of my entire life is Wicked. And when I'm 85 years old and still talking about it, you'll know why, because it's part of my makeup and my DNA at this stage of the game. I'm so lucky, so blessed.
And even almost 20 years later, it still has that effect on people. I mean, people are returning still in droves to see it now, almost 20 years later, and it still leaves with an impact. I was there on reopening night, and I'd seen it. I was about my 4th time, but every time I leave that show, it's like, I mean, there's so many glorious Broadway experiences and shows, but that especially, you leave that show and you just feel the pure Broadway magic that Wicked is. And
it is.
You inspire.
What Wicked does very well is that it sends you out having seen every penny of your, however much your ticket was,
right
on stage. You walk out with the songs in your brain. You walk out with that warm, fuzzy feeling. You walk out feeling like you've been changed for the better.
Exactly.
And maybe even changed for good. You get the Broadway experience when you go see Wicked.
You really do. You really do. I mean, did you all know at the time that it was going to be as big as it was?
I love this question. So at that first table read, I remember that we did the table read and then it was lunch and then we would come back to start, I don't know, looking at the set pieces or who knows what it was. But I remember calling my mommy and after hearing the show and going, Mom, I don't know what I just got myself into, but I think this is going to be a really big deal. And, there were a couple things that were interesting. The Gershwin Theater had not seen a successful Broadway musical in a very long time, not something really big. It's off the beaten path. It doesn't really have a front of the theater. There's not really a facade. So it was kind of like, is that the kiss of death? But I remember being in San Francisco and our very first preview when the show was a good 3 hours and 45 minutes long. I tell you that in no uncertain terms. Just you saw the lines around the block. It tapped in something everybody was interested in, because the Wizard of Oz is such a part of our DNA. No matter who you are, you grew up watching that on television or you know what it is.
Yeah.
So from that moment on, we were like, this is massive. So we knew. Yeah.
Well, I love that. You know, you mentioned about the show being 3 hours and 45 minutes long at first. Is there something in that development process of Wicked that you wished had made the current show of what we see today?
Ooh, I could get in trouble for this, but yeah.
Well, whatever you can't get, I don't want you to get in trouble. Whatever you
And
can.
I'm not gonna get in trouble. They don't care what I'm saying. Before there was Dancing Through Life, there was a whole other song there that was called Which Way Is the Party, which was this super high energy, exciting, like super dancing number.
Right.
And which way is the party? Which way's the next keg of winky beer? Let's stir up a scandal, have too much to handle, swing from the chandelier. And then there was a rap. Skirts and studs, don your best studs, make it on down to the All-Stars ballroom. Plenty of noise, plenty of studs. There's a party at the ballroom tonight. And the choreography was crazed, and I wish that had made the final cut of the show for sure.
Wow. Yeah, that does sound like a really interesting number. I know that I didn't realize that there was before The Wizard and I, there was the song Making Good, I think, was supposed to be the Wizard and I song, because Stephanie actually sings it on one of her albums. And
it's on her album. It's also on the 5-year anniversary version of the Wicked cast album.
Oh, really?
There's some bonus tracks that include that, Making Good, and like it has No Good Deed in German and Popular in Japanese.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I think they rewrote the song for Adina, really.
Yeah.
And I actually have heard just a little bit of Adina singing the other one, Making Good.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's got an opinion. Different songs fit different vocalists better.
Right.
So it seems pretty clear to me that right choices were made in regards to which actress was playing that role for the song.
I agree. Well, I agree. And even in listening to the two songs, I mean, Making Good is beautiful, but you also have The Wizard and I, which has that beautiful that last 30 seconds, and I'll stand there with the wizard. I'm no Stephanie J. Block, so I'm not going to do it because I'm like, or Adina, I'm not good at that. But they have that big crescendo ending that's like incredible.
All you want.
Right. And Making Good doesn't really have that. And so one of the things I thought as well, I mean, obviously, even if they wrote it for Adina, in listening to it, with The Wizard and I gives you so much,
of the power pop ballad.
Yes. And
Making Good really has really sounds a lot like the 70s Schwartz stuff. It sounds more like Godspell. It sounds more like Chopin.
Yes.
And Wizard and I is much more modern sounding.
Yes, I agree. And I think and look, The Wizard and I have spun off so many YouTube Who Sings It Best, the last, Wizard and I.
Even I watch those things.
Oh, I
Theater nerds, I am with you. I'm in your ranks. I belong to all of those. Well, I don't belong, but I follow all of the silly Instagram musical theater bootleg accounts, and I stop and listen to them sing it because, how did we get here?
Well, I go down the black hole all the time of YouTube, and it's like that's one of the black holes I'll go down, and before I know it, I'm listening to 20 different videos from 100 different alphabets that I've just watched sing, the last 30 seconds. Do you still keep in touch, though, with any of the original cast, including Adina and Kristen?
Well, the last time I saw Adina and Kristen was at the 15th anniversary television special taping, and that was a really nice moment. Adina and I had done Aida together before Wicked, and we're very close at one time. So we're also friendly. I think you're bonded to those people because of the experience that it is.
Right.
One of the things about show business, though, and especially in theater, well, no, I guess in show business in general, is you bond so tightly to people with the knowledge all the while that you will all move on in some way, shape, or form. And not be intimately on top of each other in a setting like a dressing room or on the stage. And one of the things you kind of have to do to keep your sanity is accept that. So yeah, all of the original cast is still very dear to me. And people that I've met in there, even if we don't see each other all the time. But then again, in the last 18 months, who's seen anyone?
Right. Exactly. And what a career both of them have had too. I mean, Adina and Kristen. So Switching gears a little bit from Wicked, you mentioned we were talking about your hosting earlier. Getting back to that, I'd love to talk about Broadway Sessions. I know a new season starts soon, and you must be so stoked about it. I'm so excited for you. But first, take me back. What was the inspiration for creating it? How did it get started? I know you mentioned a little bit, but what was
Yeah, it really was a creative outlet, kind of as I said before, where I kind of went, all right, if I'm not singing and acting and dancing in a show, what are my assets? And I I just love the people in the theater community so very, very much. And I think they're so wild and nutty. And I wanted to, what I really wanted to bring that feeling of being jokey and nerdy in a Broadway dressing room and put it in front of people's faces and welcome them into the room. And that's really what we've done. But Broadway Sessions was the show. It is the cornerstone of everything I do. And 13 years, 13 years is how long Broadway Sessions has existed. And I will tell you that is by sheer grit and determination. And I am proud of myself for that. After being a bar show at that Bar Therapy for 2.5 years, they let us go. That was a very hard night for me. And so once I drank enough Jägermeister to kill a cow and cried a lot, I said, I'm not willing to let this die. I think what we're doing is special. I think what we're doing is unique, and it's a part of me. And I have for years refused to let it die and turned it into a New York City staple.
Yes.
And that is truly through pure tenacity. But I'm so proud of what it's become. It's so fun. I encourage anybody, if you're on a trip to New York City to see a show, we go up and the curtains come down, and it will be one of your favorite things that you do on your trip to New York. It's so kind of insidery and raucous and hilarious, and there's wonderful food and drink, and everyone feels welcome and like a star there.
Oh yeah.
And we've just seen so very many great moments happen over the years through Broadway Sessions. And 2 years ago, we were honored by MAC, the Manhattan Association of Cabarets. We were honored alongside Karen Mason and Joe Iconis. We work with Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS and have been able to donate over $12,000 to them over the course of time, which is very important to me. But Broadway Sessions keeps me connected, and it keeps me nerdy.
As it should.
It keeps me, I found, and what I've kind of tried to bottle is I found that once I got off Broadway stages, I really reconnected with my 11-year-old self, who only listened to cast albums and sang Javert Suicide before jumping off the high dive at the public pool, and wore his Phantom of the Opera t-shirt to get his photo taken in junior high school. And I found him again, and I said, oh, you're okay. You're great. So it's allowed me to be a Broadway fan again in a way that is so deep now,
right?
My connections. But Broadway Sessions is just pure joy. And we moved it twice. Once we left therapy, we went to a place called the Midtown Theater. We were there for a little over a year, and then they said they were closing, and I said, I'm not done yet. And went to Laurie Beachman. I had hosted a few things there, and I knew that's where we needed to be. And I sat down with them and I said, this is what I want to do. This is what it is. And for over 10 years, Rye, we did that show every single week.
Wow.
Which I'm here to look everybody who's watching in the eye and let you know that it's nearly impossible to do. But we did it every single week for over 10 years. Now we do it twice a month because well, I've got nothing to prove. It gives me more time, more energy. It gives everybody a little bit of a breather, and it's still a massive undertaking.
It is. I mean, you're preaching to the choir on that one. I just started my live show, and it is.
Right.
I love every second of it, but boy, does it take up so much time, and and that stress and the fun of it, but also the, I'm already almost in week 3. It's a lot, but it's good.
It is not fun until you hit the stage. There's nothing fun about it until you hit the stage. And I am one of those people that, yes, I am a producer, Yes, I am a curator. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. All of these multi-hyphenate things. But I never wanted to be.
Mhm.
And, it's taken me years to find the joy in doing that because I never wanted to be a logistics person.
Oh
I
yeah.
still, I still don't. Uh,
Same.
but it's what you got to do.
Yeah,
It's
and it
what you got
teaches
to do.
you. It
And
teaches
then,
you a lot.
oh, for sure. And then once you get on stage, then it's fun. Then it's
Right.
magic. But
Oh,
leading up to it is not fun.
no, it's not. It's stressful. It's crazy. You wonder why you're even doing it. But then, as you said, you get up on stage and it's like an aphrodisiac. It is just pure bliss and pure magic. And, you realize why you do it. And so I get that. I mean, I'm nowhere even close to 10 years, but only 3 weeks in, I understand the grit of what you're saying, doing it
Yeah.
every week to an extent. I love it. I'd never replace it for the world, but I understand. So I commend you. My invisible hat goes off to you for 10 years every week. Wow.
And we've worked on so many angles of it. Our YouTube presence is massive. And,
Yes.
I meet kids and, our signature look of our videos with the red sign. Everybody knows what those are.
Yes. Yes.
And we've worked hard on all of that and our relationship with Broadwayworld.com, who does a highlights reel for us every week. I'm ready to get all of that back out there. And of course, we're going to have to, when we start back on October 21st.
Yes. I was going to say,
October 21st, we're back on Thursday nights, October 21st, November 4th, November 18th, December 2nd, and December 16th are our shows at the Laurie Beachman Theater this year. October 21st, we're coming back big with our 6th annual Elfa Ball, which is our Wicked celebration where we bring in all ladies who have played Elphaba on Broadway or on tour. So that's October 21st. That's going to be our big kickoff. Of course, we're going to bring back some of our open mic elements as well,
right.
and continue to bring. I feel like what the pandemic has given us is a kind of a breath of rebirth in. What I do is I bring in different casts of different shows, and I feel with this big break that we've had, I'm going back to every show. We're gonna bring in artists and stars from every single Broadway show that is running and coming up. Moving forward, whether or not we've had them in the past or whatever. So come see us, please.
Well, it's funny you say that because in trying to do sort of the same with bringing the same cast, but don't you find it troublesome though to do in the sense of it's a Thursday night and they have show that night, right? Isn't it tough to usually get them?
Well, yes and no. We do it on Thursday night. We do it as a post-theater extravaganza.
That's right. Post-theater, yes.
So our doors open at 9:30. Shows nowadays on Thursday start at 7. So even your longest shows, curtain comes down at 9:30, which is exactly the time that we open our doors to start our show at 10 o'clock. So that way we can bring our artists. They don't have to have any wait time in between. They can finish their show, come by, suck down a drink, have something to eat, relax. They know me. They know it's not going to be stuffy. They know they don't have to do anything other than be in the moment.
Right.
And it's a great thing for tourists and people who've just come from a show to get to come see. Because it is late night, it's not, it's a different tall order to say,
right,
get there, we're open the doors at 9:30 as opposed to, prime time at 7.
Right, exactly. And how much are tickets, or is there a cover charge for people that if they want to come?
Yes. So if you buy tickets in advance, it has been just $10. And if you buy them at the door, it's $15. I haven't decided if I'm raising those prices, but I guess now I can't. At least for the fall, we want you to come back. And there's a $15 food or beverage minimum. Now I'm not going to hold back on this. For the show that we have and the people that we get and the experience that we provide, that is the least expensive, life-changing event you will ever find in your entire life.
No, you're right.
You can come and enjoy this all for a grand total of $25. I mean, you could go to 4th and 50th Street and pay that much to
have something to eat, have
a tiny miniature crab cake, so
and then pay another 40 or 50 just for the ticket.
It's a hell of a deal.
It is. That's what I was going to say. I'm glad you mentioned that because it is a steal, and that's wonderful. I'm really excited for you, and I can't wait to come and see one because my show ends at 8:30, so I'll be able to book it down and to come see you. So I'm really excited. What has Broadway Sessions taught you about yourself, both as a host and a producer?
Oh my gosh, it has taught me that the number one thing it's taught me is
Mm-hmm.
that everything will always be okay. Everything in your life will work out, because I cannot tell you the depth of despair and stress and anxiety that putting on a live weekly show of us with a certain caliber expectation has driven me to go a day before the show. I'm like, I don't have anything. And that's happened, and that will happen, because that's the nature of the
yeah.
beast. And that's showbiz, kids.
Yeah.
But it really has taught me that everything will work out.
That is so true.
And that we are capable, creative, and take it head on, and everything will work out. So I think as a producer, and as a person, that has been a huge lesson Broadway Sessions has taught me. On the darkest days when I'm like, no one's coming, they come.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time. So that's a big lesson, and I've never actually said that out loud. I think that was epiphany I just had, that is exactly what Broadway Sessions has taught me. And it's brought to me the joy of celebrating theater geeks,
which is
my babies.
Yes, your babies. And as you said, that's showbiz, kid. That's
Yeah.
exactly what that is. What advice would you have for someone who is a theater lover, a theater geek, and is in the sort of realm as a multi-hyphenate, who wants to start their own Broadway themed show, such like myself, but mine's already off the ground, but that wants to create something like you did and follow sort of in your footsteps? What advice would you give to them?
Don't give up. Don't take it personally. And treat your people like gold.
Oh, yes.
I have made mistakes in the past. I have learned the people that you bring in need to love the experience of being there with you.
Yes.
For you and for your audience. Treat your people like gold. Maintain your reputation. And never let it become bigger than it is to you. Let it be fun. Let it be joyous. It's not going to be all the time, but the second it becomes more heartache than it is happiness. And the other thing I would say to somebody who's coming up is find your voice and your angle. We live in an age where there's so much noise on social media. We saw it during the pandemic. There's not a person who doesn't have a podcast at this point.
Right.
There's not a person who's not going live on Instagram or doing all the things that I do and that you do and that we're all doing all the time.
Yeah.
What's important for longevity and success is to make sure that you are being authentically you and know what your reason for being is, because I see a lot of people who want to put shit out there and they put on, and maybe this is more on social media, and they put on this like, this is what I want people to think I am. If it doesn't resonate,
Mm-hmm.
it feels sticky. I don't know, and I kind of feel like it's the people who take the sexy, dirty pictures and then write an inspirational Deepak Chopra quote underneath, and I'm like, this is bullshit. Just say, look at my ass, and we'll all go, yeah, your ass looks great. Go fuck yourself, and stop quoting Deepak Chopra. Sun doesn't rise and also set because you showed me your butthole. That's not true. What this is.
Yeah. You said that best. I could not agree with you more. What a great advice.
There's a lot of it, and you all know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of it.
Yes, I do, and I'm sure we all do as well. You just wrapped Broadway Buskers in Times Square recently, which was so exciting. I got a chance to go to one, and it was just wonderful. It was every Friday right in the heart of Times Square. What do you love most about doing that, and especially coming back this year for it? What did you love most?
It was the most satisfaction I've had of any year. I think because we were able to be there and be there live with people. What I love about Broadway Buskers is our mission statement, which is that we really shine the light on these hidden or not so hidden talents that some of your favorite Broadway and theater artists possess as songwriters. I love hearing individual voices, which I think you've probably picked up on by now, listening to me talk. So I love celebrating and providing space for these artists. It was so special for all of us who got to stand up there and speak or sing or share, to do that in front of a live audience again. And there's, what on earth, you're standing in the middle of Times Square, surrounded by the giant signs and the giant lights. And I say it all the time. I say it's like the Muppets Take Manhattan version of what you think Broadway is going to be that there could be.
Oh yeah.
Where you just stand in the middle of all the flashing lights and sing your song and people listen. It's magical. And doing it this late into the season, we just finished up last week.
Yeah.
We got to really enjoy nighttime in Times Square while they were performing, which was kind of magical. Whereas in previous years, we would do this on Tuesdays between 5 and 7.
Okay.
People could make it to shows.
Nice.
But given that the rollout of shows was a little bit different this year, we decided to get prime time on Fridays. So we'll see what that is in the future. But it's a combination of location, and just the brilliance and the depth of these writers that we get to experience and put the spotlight on. And that's something, giving space for people, and I guess this ties into Broadway Sessions, everything I do, brings me a tremendous amount of joy. To give people a place to be heard from is like, that's rock solid for myself.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I agree. And I can't wait to see what comes next with it. And so happy that you created that. I mean, what a great experience. So you've talked and interviewed with some of the best and biggest in this industry over many, many years. And this might be a hard question. It's always hard when people ask me, but who has been your favorite person that you've got to interview and why?
Oh my gosh. I'll tell you, there were a couple of moments that I found myself a little more starstruck than I wanted to feel. With the Broadway cast, which is my podcast that I did with Playbill we had 25 episodes. You can check it out on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get your podcasts.
It's a great
podcast. Maybe stay tuned, because we're back, baby, soon. But I can't say much more because we're still waiting for contracts to be signed. But it is coming back. The Broadwaycast is coming back. I will say that. And I can't tell you where. If you got it, you got it.
Oh, yes.
But within that, I remember we had one panel that was Jason Robert Brown, Lillias White, and Michael McGraw, and it was Tony Winner's panel. And I just adore Jason Robert Brown in a way that is so frenetic that I didn't really know what to do, being next to a genius like him. And Lillias and even my producer was like, wow, that's the first time I've ever seen you nervous. But, as with any of these things, kind of once you get going, you're fine. I think the worst experience I can say is not in general, but I was hosting the red carpet at the Tony Awards for Broadway World one year. And I was interviewing two people and I didn't know who they were. And I remember people writing into me and being like, we have a bet going. Did you know who those people were? And I was like, no. And they were big, wonderful, important people, but I didn't have time by the time they walked over to figure it out. And so I'm asking them all these like really vague questions.
Oh yeah.
That was trying.
I've had that happen. It's okay. I mean, not as but
but once again, you want to make them feel fantastic. They're at the goddamn Tonys and nominated for things, but I don't know who they are because I don't know who all the sound designers are or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm such a weirdo that I only like the musicals or whatever it is. Some fun interviews I've done when I was doing some backstage stuff at Broadwaycon. I enjoyed talking to Taran Killam while he was he was doing Hamilton for a hot minute, and he was just fun because he's so used to it that it's just easy for him. And Darren Criss was kind of the same way. I love anytime I get to be on stage or talking to or interviewing Stephanie J. Block. She is all light and wonder and goodness, and puts everyone at ease. And she's so genuine.
I've heard that. She's definitely a dream interview here. So I've heard that. Yeah. Yeah.
She's a marvelous human being in general. I'm trying to think of who else was like really special. They all are. They're all special.
They all are.
Well, it was really fun. One night at Broadway Sessions, we were doing Kinky Boots night, and Cyndi Lauper came and got up on stage and didn't leave the stage for 20 minutes. She sang 2 songs. She sang "You Can't Get a Man with a Gun," and then she was still on stage. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go with it, and talked to her. And she told us all about her high school theater teacher and choir teacher. And then she sang "Is There a Straight Man in the House?" We have that video as well. But I spent 20 minutes chatting with Cyndi Lauper, drunk as a skunk,
Oh my God.
on stage at Broadway. That's the other reason to come to Broadway Sessions, that everyone's had a couple of cocktails. That was a wild moment, and I was like, what just happened? That is so cool.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh. I'm like, wow. I would have, I would have fangirled. And while you probably were like, okay, I gotta keep this going, I would have been like, oh my God, it's Cyndi Lauper, like on stage at my show, like that was really surreal.
Yeah, totally surreal. But she was so down for the party, and I just appreciated that so much.
Oh, I'm so glad. So you've done quite a bit of hosting with PBS, including the Downton Abbey special, which was quite popular. What is it like to do hosting like that on PBS, on public broadcasting? I know you recently, I think within the last month or two, you posted on Instagram that you were doing.
I just did another. Yeah, we just hosted. They were doing a re-airing of Andrea Bocelli's Central Park concert. So they called me to come do that, and that we filmed outside in Central Park, right by the lake, which was really cool. And all my pictures on Instagram looks like we're in front of a green screen, but I swear to God, we were actually in front of the lake. We're actually outside. But that's the power of good lighting.
Oh yeah.
PBS was such a crazy surprise to me. I can be a bit blue in my delivery, and I like to say cursey words, and I like to be a weirdo, and PBS always seems so buttoned up. And the way I got into that is I actually got an audition for the Downton Abbey marathon, and I went in, and I think my ticket in the door was that they were doing the special surrounded by actual Downton Abbey fans celebrating the premiere of the 6th and final season. Yes. So it was about working a crowd while also being on camera. And that's what I knew how to do.
Oh yes.
But once I kind of did that and hopefully knocked that out of the park, then they just kept calling. And it's the weirdest thing, but I love it. It's such a fun thing to do. I love being on set. I love talking, as a host I'm a teleprompter ninja. I learned this about myself. I'm a hell of a teleprompter reader. But even in that, there's challenges in that you continue to add and subtract and make it your own as you're reading it and trying to live in a moment and be sincere and connect with your audience through the camera. And I like those challenges.
Yeah. No, those are. Yes.
And it was valuable. It was valuable television boot camp for me.
Yes, it's very, very, very valuable indeed, for sure. I mean, learning that is. I have my
favorite on PBS is so weird. I just think it's so like, Ben, is that PBS? Okay, got it.
I love it. It's great. And PBS, I love that you did the Downton Abbey, and working a teleprompter is not easy. I mean, I was glad that my 2 years I did 2 years at a community, 2 years at a university. My 2 years at university, when I went for broadcast journalism, all we did was off a teleprompter. So it was like, I got that, that experience, but it's, you have to, as you said, it's a lot of adding and subtracting and watching and and
well, and interviewing too. I did 2 in particular where I didn't have teleprompter. We filmed the Broadway on 13 marathon at Sardi's, and I was interviewing Katrina Lenk, Laura Benanti, Megan Sikora, and a few other people, but then I just had blue cards. So, there's no prompter to read, and you've just got this person across from you and you don't know what angles they're taking. Right. And then I did a Heather Headley special on PBS, which was super fun. That, I should say, was one of my favorite interviews because I had done Aida with her as well. But that was also another moment where it was much more interview than it was me talking to the camera. And that's really special.
No, that is special. Now I have to ask, because you mentioned Aida, and I'm a big Elton John fan. Have you met Elton John and working in the original cast? Did you get a chance to meet him?
I have to come clean, Ryan. I'm so glad you've given me this platform to finally come clean about something that I think people have misunderstood. Here's the thing. When you've been in 3 Broadway shows and 2 of them have been original casts, it's very hard to know how to write that in a bio. To be like, because you want to say, has been in the original cast of this, and then you do a whole other sentence like, and has also appeared on Broadway in this. So it kind of just comes out like I was in the original cast of Aida. I was not. I came into the show 9 months into the run. So now it's out. And I'm glad that you all know. But it's probably still going to read like I was in the original cast on my resume, and that's just going to have to be fine. But Kelvin Moonlow sent me a text message just last week. He was like, I'm listening to the Aida cast album. He's like, and I could totally hear your voice, and I've picked out which voice is yours, and I'm going to sit down with you, and I'm going to show you which voice I think is yours. I was like, Kelvin, I must confess, I feel so much better now. I feel like the weight of the world has been lifted off my shoulders in this moment.
Okay, well, that is
cast, but I was with the original cast.
Okay.
I was with Sherry. I was with Adam. I was with Heather.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for coming clean with that. I understand it. With having to write that out, I get it. So
it's got a scan, right?
Yeah, it's got to make sense.
So Bernadette Peters does a whole bit about that in her concert at Carnegie Hall, where she talks about her resume. Said she played Danny June, but she was only the understudy, and she makes a public apology to whoever that actress was.
Oh, it's great. Well, what are you most looking forward to as Broadway is roaring back?
Oh, God. The vibrancy of the community and the connection between the people and the fans, audiences. It is the heartbeat of New York City, as far as I'm concerned. It is the lifeblood of New York City. I am so proud of what everyone's accomplished with their TikTok musicals and their virtual everything. And Lord knows I've done all of it as well. I just think the live experience is why I'm here and what I love about it. So I went to Waitress. That was my first show back just the other night. I had a really profound experience. I loved it. I'm seeing 6 next month. I'm gonna try to make sure I see everything. So if you have theater tickets, you need a date. I'm a great theater date. Hit me up on my DMs at Ben Does Broadway. But I'm excited for the Red Bucket Follies to go. Oh, look at you. God, you're good. Right?
Yeah.
Look at that.
At the end, I'm going to ask you all that, and then it'll pop up one by one. But
it's live, right?
But it's live, so anything can happen, as you say.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for people to have the experience of being in a live theater. The way that changes people's lives. I'm excited for theater artists to connect with one another. I'm excited to watch and witness the slow-moving train that is deeply needed systemic change when it comes to theater being an equitable space. I love the conversations that are happening. I'm excited to watch and pray for more of that coming into focus. And, I think we all need to understand that this is not something that happens overnight from wherever you stand on it. But there are balls rolling, some more snowballs. I guess maybe, do you want to build a snowman? So I'm excited about that too. So.
Yeah, very important things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know you have Broadway sessions coming up. You were mentioned about your the Broadway cast returning, but what is cooking in the pot that can be dished out that is coming up for you in the future for Ben?
Definitely stay tuned for the big announcement regarding the Broadway cast, my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You can listen, like I said, that will be hopefully happening very soon. And Broadway sessions coming back is a great big deal. I'm still traveling the country teaching theater and dance workshops. Going to be in, I'm going to be, just like this week, I'm going to be in the Bay Area working with my bestie, Nikki Snelson of Legally Blonde fame. Then we're going to be in St. Louis in November. So that will all be happening. Broadwaycon is back again this year. I just got my contract today. So we'll be back on stage at the end of February. as the main stage host of Broadwaycon again. Dance Captain Dance Tech will start putting out new episodes. We still have one in the can. So whenever Jagged Little Pill opens up again, you can look for my Jagged Little Pill episode of that on BroadwayWorld.com. What else? It's almost too much to keep track of, Rye.
It is, but all in a good way. All in a good way.
All in a fabulous way. All in from me in a grateful way, in a joyous, celebratory way. I have found that's one of the things that I love about, right when I started out being 20. Well, I was older than you probably, but making this road up as I went. And it's really interesting and fun to kind of now be the seasoned guy on that side of it. And to be able to kind of list all of this stuff that is stuff that I made out of Eye of Newt. It's crazy. It's a crazy kind of look back on that. But yeah, Broadway Buskers will be back again next summer. And I trust and believe there will be more things than that I won't see coming and you won't see coming, but Lord knows I'll tell you about it on Instagram.
I cannot wait for that to see. Now, before we go, where can we keep up with you? Where can we follow you? Where are you at?
Jumping the gun. Yeah. Please follow me. I'm so needy. I'm so desperate and sad and lonely. You can follow me on social media at Ben Does Broadway. On Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, all Ben Does Broadway. And of course, follow Broadway Sessions at Bway Sessions on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to find out who will be joining us at our shows past our Elfa Ball on October 21st. We'll be announcing those, which is soon. And that's where everything's happening there. You can find me.
Yes.
And
your website as well as
bencameron.nyc. You can reach out to me through my website with questions or concerns. I'll also, what else am I doing next? In May, I'll be going to Chicago to MC and teach at the Classical Singer National Convention once more, which is all really reminding me right now that I need to update my website. So go to the website.
Yes, go to the website. It's a great, great website. And for those of you watching who want to keep up with me, you can follow me across social media, Twitter, TikTok, which I've just gotten and learned, and still learning, Instagram.
You learn it?
I am learning it.
You want to teach me?
You want to teach me? I was going to say, I am slowly learning it.
It's me. Look.
Yeah,
it's
I love it.
He is a sloth.
It is. I love it. Oh yeah, I'm still learning it. I don't know. I'm just conquering Instagram, but I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Rye_Myers, at official Rye Myers on Facebook. And once again, if you would like, you can shoot me a donation via Venmo. You can scan the QR code right here, or you see my Venmo scrolling across the bottom of the screen at Rye_Myers. And listen, as you know, I mentioned earlier, I am taking Live with Rye on the road. Well, and by the road, I mean over to Hell's Kitchen. Join me every Thursday night for Live with Rye and Friends on Broadway, my Broadway talk show, Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. at Bar 9. I have the fun little graphic right here. I have exciting guests. This coming week is Michael Kushner. Next week, Drew Gasparini, Robert Bannon the following week, and so many more. There's live performances, trivia, giveaways. It's really a great night. There's no minimums, no covers, and I'm doing what I love, which is talking to Broadway people and watching them perform live. So I hope you all come and see that and reach out to me on social media if you have questions. I always post there about guests. And then I hope you can make one night to see it. And also would love to have you as a guest.
Oh my gosh, what'll I wear?
I know you have time to think.
Start thinking about it now.
Yes. Well, Ben, thank you so much for this. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to.
Right. Congratulations. I'm proud of everything you're doing. You're a great guy. I'm glad that we're friends. So everybody continue to follow this. Nope, he's that way.
Yes.
Follow him, follow me. We'll follow you. Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
It was. Thank you.